Okay, literally just talking medical. I'm not arguing with you guys, bro. It's quiet. Let me see you. Just get my hand out. All right. All right.
You may be seated. Do we have an interpreter? Good evening. Good evening. This is the initial 5 p.m. initial appearance calendar.
Bro, I'm chilling, bro. I just moved here to say I have medical issues. I have medical issues. Are you not listening? This is medical. I already talked to them about it. Why are you irritated about it? I'm just sitting here quiet. They ain't put it right here. Yeah, bro. I live got medical issues and not you. Right? I'm not trying to know. I've been sitting here my whole life. I have a medical issue. Bro, I'm not here.
I just wanted to advise the court. I know that usually there's an announcement made right now that's shorter, but we still have.
Yeah, there's Ms. Lopez, there's an issue in the court right now. That's why it's quiet.
I understand, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good evening. This is the 5 p.m. initial appearance calendar for January 28th, 2025.
Buenas tardes. Esta es la comparecencia inicial de las 5 de la tarde del 28 de enero del 2025.
The orders made at the first of this month for the taking of DNA samples and fingerprints that were given on the first of the month of this calendar will apply to all matters on this calendar.
Las órdenes que se dieron al primero del mes para sacar análisis de ADN y huellas dactilares también se aplican para todas las audiencias de hoy en esta lista de causas.
I will be calling each of you up to the podium one by one.
Voy a llamarlos a cada uno de uno por uno a que pasen al podio.
Well, I will ask you for your first and last name and your date of birth.
Les voy a preguntar su nombre completo, nombre y apellido y su fecha de nacimiento.
I will advise you as to why you are here.
Les informaré por qué están aquí.
Whether or not an attorney has been appointed to you.
Si se les va a nombrar o no un abogado.
What your upcoming court dates will be.
Cuándo van a ser sus siguientes audiencias.
What your bond will be if you are eligible for bond.
Si son elegibles para la fianza, a cuánto se las voy a fijar.
And what your release conditions are.
Y cuáles serán sus medidas cautelares.
If you have any questions, I will ask that you hold your questions until after I advise you of all of those things.
Si tienen alguna pregunta, les voy a pedir que se esperen hasta que les dé toda esta información.
Mr. Montes, will you please come to the podium?
El señor Montes puede pasar, por favor.
And Mr. Carter, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Señor, ¿me da su nombre completo con nombre y apellido y fecha de nacimiento?
Omar Javier Leos Montes, 28 de agosto de 1979.
Omar Javier Leos Montes, August 28th of 1979. My Telepus Court Interpreter.
Thank you. You were here today on a new case.
Gracias. Está aquí porque tiene un caso nuevo.
You were charged with 1 count of possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony.
Se le levantó una acusación por tenencia de droga narcótica, que es un delito de categoría 4.
I did appoint an attorney to represent you.
Le nombré a un abogado para que lo represente.
I'm sorry, and I did find probable cause as to that charge.
Y también determino que existen motivos fundados para la acusación.
You will have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30.
El 12 de febrero a las 8:30 va a tener una consulta de actualización.
And a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30.
Y el 14 de febrero a las 8:30 va a tener una audiencia preliminar.
I will be releasing you on your own recognizance, but you do have to promise to appear for your court date.
Lo voy a dejar en libertad bajo palabra, pero tiene que dar fe que va a comparecer a sus siguientes audiencias.
Do you promise to appear for your court date?
Sí.
¿Da fe comparecer
Sí.
a sus audiencias? Yes.
Sí.
Yes.
Please be advised that if you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed.
Sepa, por favor, que si no comparece a su siguiente audiencia, se puede emitir una orden de aprehensión en su contra y lo más probable es que se le fijaría una fianza.
Do you understand?
¿Entiende, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
If you will please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Si pasa a su izquierda, el alguacil le da sus documentos. Su otra izquierda.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, can you inquire as to whether anybody else is in need of your services before I let you go?
Of course, Your Honor. ¿Hay alguna persona que necesite ayuda en español? Si alguien quiere que se le asista en español, levante la mano, por favor.
Okay, Ms. Lopez, you may be excused. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Carter, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Salter, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Kyle Carter, 11/22/99.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with one count of aggravated DUI, driving with a suspended license, a Class 4 felony, one count of vulnerable adult or child, recklessness in the driving with the DUI, Class 5 felony, aggravated DUI with the BAC of .08, or a passenger under the age of 15, a Class 6 felony, a DUI with drugs, vapors, or the combination of those, Class 1 misdemeanor, driving with a suspended license, a Class 1 misdemeanor, and driving with an open container in a vehicle, a Class 2 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all counts except for the aggravated DUI with the BAC of .08. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. If you are able to post bond, I will release you to pretrial services, which will involve drug and alcohol testing. If you are able to post bond, you do have to participate and comply with all release conditions, appear for your court dates. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you will be subject to bond again.
Okay.
That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Salter, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Lopez, will you please have a seat in the chair? Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Grant Salter, 12/10/1981.
You were here for a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 4th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $5,000. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, any bond posted will be forfeited, another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you will be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. It's up to your left, officer will do your paperwork.
Thank you.
Mr. Lopez, will you please come to the podium? And Ms. Mueller, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Was Mr. Mueller the one that was escorted out?
No.
Or Mr. Lopez?
Lopez. Go.
I already marked them as a hospital.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lopez, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Tony Lopez, 8/30/94.
You were here on a new case, and you were charged with one count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, a Class 4 felony, one count of unlawful flight, a Class 5 felony, one count of theft or control of stolen property, a Class 6 felony, and one count of criminal trespass, a Class 1 misdemeanor. You find probable cause as to all of those counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50,000. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime, cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victims, you cannot possess any weapons, and you will need to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. In addition, you must appear for your court dates. If you fail to appear for your court dates, any bond posted would be forfeited, a warrant would be issued for your arrest, and you would be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to do, my lower, like a little lower?
No, I reviewed a lot of information, including your criminal history. Also, just the facts that I read them in the probable cause statement was very concerning to me in what was involved. And so, based on that information, I have to weigh the safety of the community along with your history and the statutory factors, and I believe that a $50,000 bond is appropriate given these circumstances. So I'm inclined to change it today. So if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Ms. Miller, if you will please come in, Mueller, if you'll come into the courtroom. If Mr. Rose will please have a seat in the chair. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jessica Miller, 6/15/89.
You were here because you have two warrants. You have a warrant out of Superior Court for failing to appear for a court date, and then you have a warrant out of Arrowhead Justice Court. For the matter, your failure to appear out of Superior Court, an attorney was already appointed to you in that matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You have a cash-only bond in the amount of $15,000. If you are able to post bond, you will need to appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, another warrant will be issued for your arrest. For your matter out of Arrowhead Justice Court, I appointed an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have an arraignment hearing on January 30th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $100. And it's a placeholder bond since you're being held on the Superior Court matter, just to make sure that you get transported for that hearing.
Wait, I didn't hear you. The last part.
The bond for your Arrowhead Justice Court, it's a placeholder bond of $100. It's to ensure that you get transported since you're being held here on your Superior Court matter.
Okay. So I am bondable?
Pardon me?
I am bondable?
For both cases, but your first one, it's $15,000 cash.
Okay.
So that takes care of everything. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure you attend your hearings. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest and you'll be subject to bond again.
Thank you.
Mr. Rose, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Ms. Kimball, if you will have a seat in the chair.
Rose.
Mr. Rose, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Joshua Connor Rose, 42898.
You are here for two matters. You have a new case here, and then you have a warrant out of Peoria Municipal Court. As to your new case, you were charged with one count of theft of means of transportation, a Class 2 felony, one count of burglary in the second degree, a Class 3 felony, 3 counts of burglary in the third degree involving unlawful entry, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony, and 1 count of possession of burglary tools, a Class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to all counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $10,000. If you're able to post bond, you need to make sure that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will, any bond posted will be forfeited, and a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'd be subject to bond again. For your warrant out of Peoria Municipal Court, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have an arraignment hearing on January 30th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
You do have a placeholder bond in the amount of $250, secured appearance, and that's to ensure that you do get transported for your court date while you are being held here. Again, for all matters, if you pay your bond, you need to make sure that you attend to your court dates. If you don't, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you probably would be subject to bond again. So that takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Here you go, Rose.
Ms. Kimball, if you will please come into the courtroom. And Ms. Garcia, or Mr. Garcia, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Joanne Kimball, April 22nd, 1995.
You are here because you have a warrant that was issued when you failed to appear for a court date. You do have an attorney appointed to you already in this matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $2,500. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we need to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you. Mr. Garcia, will you please come to the courtroom? And Ms. Davis, will you please have a seat in the chair? Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Rodolfo Garcia, February 25th, 2001.
You are here because you have 1 new case and 3 violations of probation, and we'll talk to you first about your new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia is a Class 6 felony, possession of a narcotic drug is a Class 4 felony, and resisting arrest is a Class 1 misdemeanor. I found probable cause as to the resisting of arrest and possession of drug paraphernalia. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have a status conference hearing on February 3rd at 8:30, a preliminary hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500. As to your violations of probation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in all 3 of those cases. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250 per case. So your total bond between all of your cases is $1,250. Secured appearance, you do need to contact probation within 72 hours of your release. You must attend your hearing. If you fail to attend your hearing, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you will be subject to bond. That takes care of everything that we have to do here this evening. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Ms. Davis, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Powell-Cox, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Ma'am, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Kimberly Davis, 7/17/75.
You were here because a warrant was issued when you failed to appear for a court date. An attorney was already appointed to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 6th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure you attend your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll be subject to bond again. So if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you. Mr. Powell-Cox, if you will please come into the courtroom. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Rico Devon Powell Cox, January 5th, 1995.
You were here for 2 matters. You have warrants. Both of your warrants are out of County Meadows Justice Court. I did not appoint an attorney to you due to the nature of the offense. You are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You have an arraignment hearing on February 13th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court dates. Do you promise to appear for your court dates?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you fail to appear for your court dates, another warrant will be issued for your arrest. You will be subject, and a bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes.
You look like you don't understand.
Can I hear that one more time?
You need to show up for your court date. If you don't show up for your court date, another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and a bond will likely be imposed.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So make sure you show up to court.
Okay.
Ms. Preston, will you please come into the courtroom? Mr. Collier, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Ma'am, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Makia Destiny Carmelo Preston, 4497.
You were here for a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of driving with a suspended license, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I found probable causes to both charges. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for this court date. Do you promise to appear?
I promise, Your Honor.
If you fail to appear, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that takes care of everything that we have to do. If you step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Collier, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Armando Garcia, if you will please have a seat in the chair.
How we doing?
Fine. Can you state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Manuel Collier, 12/19/2000.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of burglary in the 3rd degree, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony, 1 count of theft, a Class 1 misdemeanor, and 1 count of shoplifting, a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Yes, ma'am.
I did find probable cause as to all the counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you.
Okay.
You do have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I am going to release you to pretrial services. That's supervised release.
Yes, ma'am.
You do have to promise to appear for those 2 court dates. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, ma'am. I do promise to appear.
You also have to comply with your release conditions and appear for those court dates. If you fail to appear or comply with your release conditions, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, I do understand.
If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Bond, will you have a seat in the chair? Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Armando Garcia, 08/29/2000.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, 1 count of possession of a narcotic drug, and those are Class 4 felonies, and then 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to all 3 counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
If you fail to appear for your court dates, a warrant could be issued for your warrants will be issued for your arrest, and a bond will be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bond, will you please come into the courtroom? And Ms. Moore, if you'll please have a seat in the chair.
Hello, Bill. Pleasure to meet you today.
Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Cameron Jason Bond. My birthday is December 9th, 2002.
Thank you.
May I ask one question?
So, do you remember at the beginning where I told you to just hold your questions until I tell you all the information?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay, thank you. So you were here on a new case, and you were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. I found probable causes to both offenses. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You'll have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance, but you do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear for your court date?
Yes, ma'am.
If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and a bond will likely be imposed.
All right.
I still have a question.
Yes, ma'am. So this morning I was supposed to go to court. Do I just call the court? And then will they reschedule because I was in y'all's custody?
I don't know about the other court that you were.
Just give them a call.
I mean, I don't know what court you're supposed to be in. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
All
I
right.
have information regarding why you were here right now.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the information that I have access to right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't have any information about any other court right now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I may be confused on it as well, but I believe that's what it was. But thank you. I appreciate you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Prado, will you please have a seat in the chair?
Put down.
Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Wendy Martinez, 7/18/98.
You were here because a grand jury charged you with possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony, and possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. The date of these alleged offenses is May 1st of 2024. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have an arraignment hearing on February 5th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear? You have to say yes out loud.
Yes.
If you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and you will be subject to bond. Do you understand that? Okay, so that takes care of everything that we have to do. If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Prado, if you'll please come into the courtroom, and Miss Davison, I'm going out of order because Carl should have been the last one. And then Miss Davison, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Mr. Prado, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jorge Prado, February 12, 2000.
You are here on a new case. You were charged with possession of a weapon during a drug offense is a Class 3 felony, and then possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony. I did find probable causes to both counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30, and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear for those court dates?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you fail to appear for those court dates, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and you'll be subject to bond. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you.
Ms. Davison, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Martin, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, Ms. Davison, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Yes, ma'am. It's Ashley Davison, 1791.
You were here today because a direct complaint was filed charging you with possession of dangerous drugs, a Class 4 felony, alleged to have occurred on December 5th of 2023. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have a status conference hearing on February 12th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear for your court date?
Yes, ma'am.
If you fail to appear for your court date, the warrant will be issued for your arrest and you will be subject to bond. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you'll please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Mr. Martin, will you please come into the courtroom? And Mr. Fortney, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. No, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Freddie Martin, October 4th, 1977.
You are here because you were charged with a DUI, aggravated DUI, passenger under the age of 15, a Class 6 felony. A DUI involving liquor, drugs, vapors, or a combination, a class 1 misdemeanor. A DUI with a BAC of .08 or more, a class 1 misdemeanor. An extreme DUI BAC .15 to .20, class 1 misdemeanor. I found probable cause as to the aggravated DUI with the passenger under the age of 15 in the DUI with drugs, vapors, or liquor, or a combination, a class 1 misdemeanor. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on February 14th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 14th at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you to pretrial services, which will involve supervised release and you are to participate in alcohol testing and monitoring. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
I promise.
If you fail to comply with your release conditions or you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and a bond will likely be imposed. Do you understand?
I do understand.
Okay, if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fortnoy, if you'll please come into the courtroom.
How you doing, Your Honor?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Carl Fertney, birthday's 3/23/74.
Sir, you were here as a fugitive of justice. There is a warrant out of Tennessee. You have a right to an extradition hearing. You have the right to hire your own attorney at your own expense. You're not entitled to a court-appointed attorney because it's not criminal in nature. The extradition process requires a warrant to be signed by both the governor here in Arizona and the governor in Tennessee. This can take between 60 to 90 days for that to be done. You can also waive an extradition hearing. You would not be entitled to bond. I will inform you that the nature of your warrant is a violation of probation, so you would not be entitled to bond anyway because it is a violation of probation. But if you waive the extradition process, the issuing state would have 30 days from tomorrow to pick you up if you don't have any local charges pending. If you have any local charges pending, the 30 days would begin after those matters were resolved. Did you have an opportunity to review the paperwork regarding your rights?
Yeah, basically I just need to sign a extradition deal, like a...
Well, it depends on what you want to do, so I just want to make sure that you read it and you understand what it means.
Yeah, I understand. Usually, basically the governor's got to sign it here and in Tennessee, is what you're saying?
Yes, both governors have to sign it, and that would take, that process would take 60 to 90 days.
And, yeah, I mean, I just want to resolve this matter. You know what I mean? How old is the warrant? What's this, I mean, I can't, what's this from? I'm just, I know what it's from, but I'm curious of the dates, how old the warrant is, like.
The warrant is from 2017.
Okay, but the situation was like 16 years old, correct?
I don't know anything else. All I have is that there was a warrant. It tells me why there was a warrant and who the issuing state is.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So are you, from what you're saying, it sounds like you want to waive?
The extradition, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Just to make sure. So first, I'm confirming that you did have an opportunity to review the paperwork, the extradition paperwork.
Yes, I mean, I understand it from what, from you explaining it to me.
Okay. And do you understand that you don't have to sign the paperwork?
That I do not have to sign the paperwork?
You have the right. You don't have to sign anything that you don't want to. Do you understand that? Do you understand that you do have the right to an extradition hearing?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to hire a lawyer at your own expense?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to demand that the governor's warrant be signed by the governors of both states before you are returned?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are not, that you do not have a right to bail because of the violation of probation?
Yes.
Do you want to give up the rights? Do you want to give up your rights and sign the paperwork?
To waive it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Has it, have you had, I'm so sorry, has anybody threatened you or promised you anything to get you to sign the paperwork?
No.
Has anybody, I'm so sorry, have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication in the last 24 hours?
No.
I find that you have knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily are signing the waiver, and I am also signing it. I am directing the Sheriff's Office to notify the requesting state that you are ready to return. The requesting state will have 30 days from tomorrow to pick you up unless there are local charges pending. If there are local charges pending, the 30 days will not start until the conclusion of the case. Do you have any questions?
So the date they will, is tomorrow the 1st?
Tomorrow starts the first of the 30 days.
Okay, so what day will they have till? I'm sorry.
They have 30 days from tomorrow to come and pick you up.
Okay, and tomorrow's what is today's date? I'm sorry.
Today's the 28th.
The 28th? Okay. So 30 days from tomorrow's date?
Yes.
All right.
So you will need to come up here and send the paperwork. Does it show that I signed it, Giselle? Okay.
Right, they can slow when you're ready.
Just sign here.
On the pad.
So 30 days from tomorrow's date.
And you'll sign one more time.
One more time?
Yes.
No, what happened to her card? Right here. More. Here. Oh, this one here.
Okay, that's next one.
Yeah.
It's 31 days.
Oh, yeah.
Does this give the date? Yeah.
So this one has 31 days. So just start coming
So
36. So it's probably like the 27th.
it'll be February 27th?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
We're good?
Brittany Wilkins, I did meet with her prior to,
Oh.
I did meet with her prior to this calendar starting. She, Brittany Wilkins, date of birth March 10th, 1995. She's unable to participate in person due to hospitalization. I did advise her that she was here on 2 violations of probation matters, that she does have an attorney appointed to her, that her probation revocation and possible disposition hearing is February 4th at 8:30, that she has a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250 per case. She was also advised that if she posted bond and she failed to appear for a court date, that any bond that she posted would be forfeited, that a warrant would be issued for her arrest, and she'd be subject to bond again. Mr. Maurice Burks, date of birth February 4th, 1991, is here on 2 violations of probation. He's not able to be here in person due to disruptive behavior. I did appoint an attorney to represent him in both matters. He has a violation of probation possible disposition hearing on February 4th at 8:30. He has a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500 per case, bringing his secured appearance bond to, $500 in one case, $250 in his other case. His total secured appearance bond is $750. I will meet with him and advise him that if he's able to post bond and he fails to appear for his hearing, that he will forfeit bond, a warrant will be issued for his arrest, and bond would be imposed again. If any changes are needed, I will do so either on the record or in writing. Peter Newtile is not present because he's not present in court today due to disruptive behavior. His date of birth is January 8th, 1987. He is here for a warrant for failing to appear for court. An attorney was already appointed to represent him in this matter. He will have a court date on February 4th at 8:30. his secured appearance bond in the amount of $250. He will be advised that if he is able to post bond, that he must appear for his court date, that if he fails to appear, that he will forfeit his bond, and a warrant would be issued for his arrest, and he would be subject to bond again. I will meet with him, both him and Mr. Burks, virtually. If any changes are needed, I will do so either on the record or in writing. Cody Tolsdorf is unable to participate in the hearing because he is still under medical care. And we will move him onto the next calendar to be seen. This concludes the 5 p.m. initial appearance calendar. We stand in recess until 8 p.m.
Ready?